Hello everyone, welcome to the final part of Sparkster Rocket Knight Adventures 2 on the Sega Genesis. We are on the last true level of the game, even though there's another stage after this, but that's just a glorified boss fight. Or two boss fights. Now, stage 5 is what I like to call a marathon level. It just goes on and on and on, and it seems like it goes on forever. And for slightly good reason, it is the final stage of the game. It's supposed to be hard and shit. But honestly, it seems like it outstays its welcome at points. And also the enemies are tanky as hell. This is basically the Scrap Brain Zone from Sonic. Except it feels like it's 10 times worse. Yes, this is actually worse than Scrap Brain. There are these gates where you need to destroy 4 of these weak points in order to open the gate. Or blast door, or whatever this big giant door is. Close the blast door! Gonna play the slots again, and oh, extra life! You know, even though I hate the slot mechanic in this game, it does come in handy sometimes. Sometimes. And sometimes the slot mechanic just bites you in the ass. I see what they were going for. I think Konami looked at Sonic 2 and said to themselves, Casino Night. Let's implement that slot game into our game. But what Konami didn't realize is that gambling is wrong. But then again, this is Konami and they make pachinko machines. Anyway, this stage may look like a maze, but trust me, it's not. It's just one big linear pathway. But the area itself is huge, so it doesn't really matter. I honestly was intimidated by the size of this place, but now that I realize it's not a maze, it's average. Still a pain in the ass level because of how big it is, but at least it's not a labyrinth. Say hello to Medusa heads. They may not look like Medusa heads, but there's the concept. But then again, these are snake heads, and Medusa is half reptile after all. This is the only time where these guys appear, and of course, they are annoying because Sparkster's attack is kind of lame. I would not be having this problem if I was a Belmont or a Morris, or Alucard, or hell, even Charlotte. Wow, that slowdown does not look as epic as the developers intended it to be. You want to be careful for this section because there's going to be a giant one-hit kill laser that will chase you about. Or is this even the location? Might be getting ahead of myself a bit. I'll take that gemstone though. Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? Even though these guys are lizards. Actually, in this game we fight both lizards and snakes. So whatever this faction is more reptilian in nature, not so much a specific brand of reptile. At least there are no alligators. Alright, what you want to do here is dodge the laser and then go back up. Smash through the doors, and that's where your hopefully final sword's gonna be. I say hopefully final because you should be collecting these swords if you want the good ending. Well, complete ending. There's no bad ending to Sparkster on the Sega Genesis. It's not like the world dies or anything. Or there's an apocalypse. And that was my final sword. Sparkster's got all the Chaos Emeralds. And I'm saying that half-jokingly. And more of those wall laser ball things that we need to break through. It's a final stage for sure. It's a combination of everything we dealt with before. Music's great though. I love the homecoming feel of stage 5. Even though we're infiltrating the enemy base and therefore it's not a homecoming, it's more of an intrusion, but whatever, the music's still great. For this part you have to book it because the longer you take, the more these rocket fist things will fly out. And they'll just continue to fly out over and over and over again until you just die. They come out that quickly. It also looks like RoboCop is protecting the peace back there. What's going on with the background? A red and blue flashing lights. Did not know Detroit was on a different planet, but okay then. Want to press the green buttons in order to get rid of the rocket fists. There we go. We do have a couple of mini bosses to deal with, and they aren't really that pressing. All you have to do is figure out their patterns. This guy, for example, shoots a lightning burst towards the middle of the screen, and also have these spike carts. What I do is stay close to this guy. He's not that big a deal. Back to the graduation song. Anyway, there's going to be another one of those guys up ahead. Ow. The next boss is going to be a repeat of the previous mini-boss, except this time he shoots the lightning in segments. You either have to duck under or jump over the attacks in order to not get hit. Or just stay close to him, you won't get hit that way either. Bitch slapping this guy all day with my sword. He didn't even stand a chance! It's like half of these bosses are either hard as fuck or they're brain damaged. There's no in between. Ow! Enemies are still crack shots though, they'll always hit me. Stormtroopers, these ain't. I'll take that wall meat though. I'm pretty sure that's the same meat sprite from one of the Castlevania games. Or maybe not, that's just a random meat sprite. You know, Freedom Planet really is the best Rocket Knight Adventures game we've gotten in years. Mainly because Konami hasn't made a single Rocket Knight Adventures game since 2009, 2010 maybe? And that remake sucked. That Rocket Knight Adventures game from 2009 was not good. In fact, I don't even want to play that game. It's just this one, Rocket Knight Adventures 1, and Sparkster on the SNES. And I'll be generous and say that Freedom Planets 1 and 2 are officially a part of the series. Even though those games are a bunch of different things thrown together like Sonic and Mega Man X and Treasure Games and Sparkster. A whole lot of Sparkster. And somehow dragons rule the world. Alright, so this part is kind of similar to that one Crusher segment from Castlevania 4. I want to take careful steps in order to not get squished here, which is very easy to do. And if you screw this up and die, just like in Castlevania 4, the checkpoints are really stingy, so you'll have to go back to the beginning of the room. I forgot to mention this, or maybe I did in a previous part, but the checkpoints in this game are not that good. Every fade to black counts as a checkpoint, which is good, but sometimes these rooms go on for freaking ever. You know, Sparkster's idle animation in this game is, kind of weird. He looks super serious and pissed off. Somehow I got crushed and didn't die in one hit. This game is hella glitchy sometimes. We got a couple more gates up ahead. We just need to destroy these eye laser things. I don't have an exact name for these. They shoot lasers, they look menacing. That's all I can say about them. And these gates take a lot more hits than before. See what I mean by the enemies are just tanky as hell here? These mechanized cowboy lizards, for example, they just take 1,000 hits. Sweet, we made it to the boss room. And even the boss room takes 1,000 years to get through. There are gonna be these robots that are walking around the room and will drop bombs. You have to dash into their torso in order to damage it. And as it turns out, there are 4 of these bastards in this one room. Not to mention the boss, which is just 2 more robots. So we have to fight 6 robots in this one room. And if you die in the boss portion, you have to do the whole room over again. This can be a bit of a chore, especially if you do die, oh boy. But the goal here is to destroy these robots and make your way downwards. That is perhaps the most Genesis sounding sound effect I've ever heard. Konami sure knows how to make Genesis sounds. I mean, look at the Turtles games, for example. And Castlevania Bloodlines. And Contra Hardcores, it sounded alright. Jeez, I love that sound. That actually sounds really satisfying. I gotta make a list of top 10 video game sounds that sound epic. That clanking sound was up there. The Mega Man X charge-up sound from X1 and X3. Mega Man Zero's getting health sound. Oh right, and there's another one that's kind of a deep cut. The objective added sound effect from Dead Space. That is another good sound. Now if this thing were to kindly die so I can move on, got like 3 more bosses to go. This particular robot will have a spark attack which will shock the cords that you're hanging off of. So whenever you see that, that is if you're quick enough to react because the controls are a bit sluggish, you should probably get off the cords. And we should be at the boss! Finally! Oh no, it's just 2 more robots. One of which is green. So we got more robots. And we don't even have our robot. At least the boss strategies are different from the other robots. In fact, they're so different that you may need to adjust to their attacks, otherwise you'll get killed very quickly. There are a couple of different attacks shared between yellow and green. And you cannot do damage by just hitting the arms, you gotta attack the body. The robots, mainly the yellow one, but the green one will sometimes do this too, will shoot lasers out of its arms and eyes. This will circulate across the floors and ceilings wherever it shoots. All you have to do is that was rude. All you have to do is rocket into the air to avoid these attacks. Some of which come out quickly and unannounced, so you have to just constantly be dodging, I guess. This game loves sneak attacks. It also has this problem with the camera scale again. I can't see where the target went. And now green robot showed up. The green robot's gonna be a bit more in your face. He's gonna spin around and use his arms to defend himself. Which, mind you, I cannot damage those when I boost into him. So you have to launch yourself into green from a different angle, either from above or below or at a diagonal. And sometimes the diagonals don't work. And he does this cheap shit. This attack has the bot stay on the ceiling and shoot bombs. A rather annoying attack if I do say so myself, because if you dash at him while he's doing that, you can still get yourself hit. Skipped ahead a little bit because I did the whole room again. The whole room! But the good thing about this boss is it doesn't take too many hits. And when you kill it, it looks like it might do something else, but no, it's just gonna explode. Oh, it leaves behind the final sword. How thoughtful of it. Now die. You want to make sure you grab this sword before you fall into the final fight. Yeah! Alright, now we're about to go into the final fight, or final fights, because first off, we have to deal with Axel Gear. The traitorous bastard with some pretty kick-ass boss music, I'm not gonna lie. I have the power! Now, Axel's fight is pretty much the same as the first game's fight with a few twists. For one thing, he's a bit more agile, and also he doesn't, just like Sparkster, he does not have his sword beams. So make that what you will. In order to damage him, you just have to boost into him, that's it. Oh, and also there are lightning walls that will eventually cave in and crush you if you take too long to fight Axel. But I guess the thing is, Axel's trying to take you with him? I don't understand the logic. But yeah, that was the boss fight. He's pretty simple. And that was the tuft of his hair. I did not bust him open and he was bleeding all over the place. Sparkster's got all the Chaos Emeralds. The dude is Sonic, come on! Collecting all of the swords, which I believe is 7, or hell, maybe it's 8, I don't know, I've lost count. You turn into Golden Sparkster. Are there any benefits to being Golden Sparkster, you might ask? Well, no. Your boost charges up faster, but that's about it. And he only shows up at the end of the game. If you thought the Super Sonic at the end of every Sonic game after Sonic Adventure to be annoying, well, Sparkster did it first. And not only that, this is the only game in the franchise where Golden Sparkster even appears, so don't get used to seeing this guy. Anyway, here's the final boss of the game, King Gedol. I like his design, and the first phase is interesting. The second phase, however, the boss fight itself is not all that hard. The first attack Gedol will do is shoot lightning at you and waver all over the place. The second attack is a meteor strike. You could just use your stationary rocket attack in order to spin in place and turn yourself invincible. You'll never get hit by the meteors if you keep doing that. The third attack, which I don't give him the luxury of showing off, is a Captain Ginyu style body change where he swaps bodies with you. So you, as Gedol, have to find a way to damage him as Sparkster, which is kinda trippy, and I wish I actually let him do that attack. But alas, I don't, because I don't have time. But wait, there's more. Giant lizard head. Yeah, this part of the fight is boring. All you have to do is dash up to the red gem and you win. You pretty much win. The lasers don't do that much damage. It's only half a heart, so nothing to worry about. Unless you constantly get hit by it, of course. But the thing is, you'll do way more damage to second phase Gedol than he will do to you with the lasers. So I do the lazy strategy and I just face tank everything. Why not? I'm Golden Sparkster. I forgot the princess was kidnapped. I think in the manual it states that this is a different princess from the first game. Not that that's important because even the game sometimes forget that the princess exists. Alright, seizure warning, seizure warning. You might want to look away for this, or maybe I'll put a screen filter in. Oh god. Ouch! And that was Rocket Knight Adventures 2 Sparkster on the Sega Genesis. Also known as just Sparkster. But there's another Sparkster game, and that one's way better than this one. I'm not gonna say this is a bad game, because it's really not. Sparkster is just a bizarre take on what was established in the first game. The physics in this game are a bit more momentum-based, a bit more slippery, which I could get behind in theory, but it doesn't work. The slot machine is needless to say the least. The visuals also take a hit here. Everything's darker and slightly dingier looking, which makes sense because this game is trying to take itself more seriously. But also everything doesn't pop out visually quite as well like Rocket Knight Adventures 1 did. You know what this reminds me of? This art style kind of reminds me of the 80s Disney movies like freaking Mouse Detective or Black Cauldron, where everything's just has this grimy look to it. That's what this reminds me of. But there are some moments where the graphics do stand out, like the floating city at the end of the game, as well as the airship level, and the first stage actually. The first stage looks pretty good. Music is also fantastic, some of the greatest you'll hear on the Sega Genesis, and I gotta admit, the rocket pack in this game is pretty fun. So if I were to rate this game, I would give it a 7 out of 10. It is slightly above average. But as it stands, that's the end of the Sparkster series on Sega Genesis. You've got one more game to go, and this time we're swapping competitors. Stay tuned for the next chapter of the Rocket Knight trilogy with Sparkster, just called Sparkster on the Super Nintendo. I'll see you then.